Have you ever noticed that no matter how much money you make, no matter how many golden cubes you stack in your vault, a huge chunk of it just vanishes? You get your paycheck, you see the numbers, but before you can even touch them, before you can buy a single coffee or a new 3D car, a massive slice is already gone. Where does it go? It doesn't just evaporate into thin air. It isn't a mistake in the bank's computer. Today, we are peeling back the floorboards of our glowing clockwork city to reveal the greatest hidden mechanism of all, the secret of the invisible vacuum. This is the story of the money you never see, and the reason why. If this vacuum ever stopped sucking, your entire world would freeze in less than 24 hours. The secret is hidden in the pipes. To understand why your cubes are disappearing, we have to look at the infrastructure of reality. Imagine our 3D city is floating in a dark, cold void. To stay alive, to keep the gravity on, and the digital sun shining, the city needs constant maintenance. The massive defense shields that protect us from meteor strikes, they need power. The automated flying bridges, they need grease. The massive filters that clean the air we breathe, they need energy. But here is the catch. The city itself doesn't work. The buildings don't have jobs, you do. Every time you perform a task, every time you move a gear in the machine, you earn a glowing energy cube. That cube is yours. Or so you think. But as you walk down the street with your cubes, look closely at the sidewalk. Underneath every tile, there is a humming, glowing pipe. That is the invisible vacuum. In the world of the machine, we call it the tax system. But why is it invisible? Why don't they just ask you for the cubes? Because if you saw the vacuum, you might try to run away from it. By making it invisible, by sucking the energy out of your paycheck before it even hits your hand, the machine ensures that the city stays powered without a fight. This is the first level of the secret. Prepayment. The machine eats before you do. But the vacuum doesn't just have one setting. It has sensors, high-tech, financial sensors. Imagine you find a rare, glowing investment crystal. You wait for it to grow, and suddenly, it's worth 10 times what you paid. You're thrilled. You go to sell it, expecting a mountain of cubes, but suddenly, shloop, the vacuum grows a specialized nozzle called capital gains. It doesn't care that you took the risk. It doesn't care that you waited. It simply sees the growth and decides that a portion of that success belongs to the pipes. It's like the city is your silent, uninvited business partner who only shows up when you're making a profit, but is nowhere to be found when you're losing cubes. Now, let's follow a cube down the pipe. Where does it actually land? Most people think the maintenance crew, the government just piles the cubes in a big room and rolls around in them. But the reality is much more complex. About 30% of those vacuumed cubes go straight into the social shield. This powers the hospitals that repair broken robots, the schools that teach new robots how to turn gears, and the safety nets that catch robots when they fall off the flying bridges. Another 30% goes into the physical skeleton. This builds the roads, the pipes, and the massive energy plants that keep the lights on. But wait, that leaves 40%. Where does the rest of the energy go? This is where the machine starts to get shifty. If you zoom into the deepest level of the palace, you'll see a massive, rusted gear called the interest debt. Remember how we talked about the time leak? How the city was built using energy borrowed from the future? Well, the entities that lent that energy, the megabanks, demand their interest cubes every single day. A massive portion of the cubes vacuumed from your pocket never build a road. They never fix a hospital. They are simply dumped into the interest furnace to stop the debt from exploding. You are working just to pay for a bridge that was built 20 years ago by someone who isn't even in the city anymore. But let's talk about the bureaucracy bots. Deep inside the pipes, there are thousands of tiny, round robots with clipboards. Their only job is to make sure the vacuum is running at 100% efficiency. We call this the audit protocol. If you try to hide a cube in your robotic sock, these bots will find it. They have sensors for unreported energy. But they also have a weakness. If you know the right codes, the tax deductions, you can actually tell the bots to leave your cubes alone. Oh, this cube? This wasn't for me. It was for my robotic dog's home office. And suddenly, the bots beep happily and move on. The city is a game of hide and seek where the rules are 10,000 pages long and written in a language only the palace speaks. But there is a second vacuum, a much more dangerous one. It doesn't live in the pipes, it lives in the air itself. We call it inflation. Imagine you have 10 cubes in your vault today. You feel rich. But while you sleep, the palace prints 1,000,000 new cubes and drops them into the streets. Suddenly, everyone has cubes. Cubes are everywhere, and because they are everywhere, they aren't special anymore. The robot selling you coffee looks at your cube and says, "This used to buy a whole gallon, but now it only buys a drop." The vacuum of inflation has just sucked the value out of your cube, without ever touching the cube itself. Your vault is still full, but your power is gone. This is the fiscal drift. It's a way for the city to pay its workers with cubes that are slowly turning into wood, while they still demand you pay your taxes in pure gold. It is a tax on your savings, a tax on your time, and it is the most effective way for the machine to pay its debts, using your life. Let's look at the corporate gears, the biggest factories in the city, the ones that build the spaceships and the flying cars. They have the biggest vacuums attached to them, or so you'd think. But these factories are clever. They build tunnels that lead to other, smaller cities, where the vacuum is turned down to a low hum. We call these tax havens. While your small gear-turning shop is being vacuumed at full blast, the giant factories are sending their energy cubes through a series of secret portals until they vanish into a city where the pipes don't exist. It's a glitch in the engineering. The harder you work, the more the vacuum notices you. But the more you own, the easier it is to become invisible to the pipes. So, why don't we just turn the vacuum off? Why don't we stop the pipes? Because of the default freeze. If the vacuum stopped sucking cubes today, the maintenance crew would walk off the job. The air filters would clog up with toxic dust. The defense shields would flicker and die. The flying bridges would plummet into the void. The city is addicted to the vacuum. It is the only thing that keeps the shared hallucination alive. Without the constant flow of cubes from your pocket to the furnace, the machine grinds to a halt. You are a gear, and the vacuum is the oil. But here is the final secret, the one they don't want the gears to know. The vacuum isn't just taking your cubes, it is taking your freedom of choice. By forcing you to earn cubes just to satisfy the vacuum, the machine ensures that you can never stop working. You have to keep the gears turning, or the vacuum will eventually come for your vault, your home, and your very right to stay in the city. We live in a masterpiece of invisible engineering, a city that is beautiful, vibrant, and filled with life. But it is a city that survives by eating its own citizens, one slice of a cube at a time. It's a comedic tragedy, where we pay for the privilege of building a cage we aren't allowed to leave. The next time you see your paycheck, don't just look at what you have. Look at the empty space where the missing cubes used to be. That empty space is the cost of reality and the price of the invisible vacuum. If you want to see how the invisible engineering of our world actually works, and how to maybe, just maybe, trick those clipboard robots, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the machine. We are dropping a new secret every single day this week, because tomorrow we are doing the unthinkable. We are turning off the vacuum entirely. We are going to see what happens when the pipes break and the robots keep all their cubes. Click right here to see the secret of the frozen city, and find out why a world without taxes is actually a nightmare you can't wake up from. I'll see you in the machine.